The sun had not yet fully risen in the morning. A soft orange glow covered the surroundings. An old man named Sukumar Babu was walking on a village road. He held a stick in his hand, and by his side walked a dog named Bhuto. Bhuto was no ordinary dog. His fur was black and white, and his ears were always alert. To Sukumar Babu, Bhuto was more than just a pet. He was like his shadow. Sukumar Babu was a retired teacher. His wife had passed away many years ago. His children lived in the city and rarely kept in touch. As a result, Bhuto was the only companion in Sukumar Babu's lonely life. One day, Sukumar Babu decided to visit the weekly market in the nearby town. Markets were bustling places filled with people, sounds, and colors. But for someone like Sukumar Babu, they were also places of loneliness. He remembered how his wife used to accompany him to the market. How she would playfully scold him when he spent too much money on fish for Bhuto, and how they would walk back home together, arm in arm, discussing the gossip they had heard at the market. But now, instead of his wife, there was only Bhuto. As they entered the market, Sukumar Babu felt a familiar pang of loneliness. He tried to ignore it, focusing instead on the task at hand, buying provisions for the week. Bhuto, sensing his master's mood, stayed close to Sukumar Babu's side, his head resting against Sukumar Babu's legs as the old man haggled over the price of vegetables. After finishing their shopping, Sukumar Babu put the provisions in the cart. Bhuto stood patiently beside the cart, waiting for his master to finish. When Sukumar Babu turned to leave, he noticed a group of children gathered around the cart, staring at Bhuto. "Hey dog, want to play with us?" One of the children shouted. Bhuto looked up, his tail wagging slightly, but then dropped his gaze. Turning away from the children, Sukumar Babu understood Bhuto did not want to play with these children. He was not interested in their games. All he wanted to do was to be by his master's side. So, without a word, Sukumar Babu continued on his way home. When they arrived back at the house, Sukumar Babu sat down on a chair. Exhausted, Bhuto lay at his feet, his eyes closed. It had been a long day, and both the old man and his dog were ready to rest. As the evening progressed, Sukumar Babu found himself thinking about his past, about the good times he had shared with his wife, his children, and even his parents. Each memory was a bittersweet reminder of all that he had lost over the years. Suddenly, a loud crash made him jump. He turned to see Bhuto standing by the window, barking furiously at something outside. "What is it, boy?" Sukumar Babu asked, his voice trembling. Bhuto turned to look at his master, his eyes wide with panic. Then he barked again, louder this time, before running out of the house. Sukumar Babu felt a chill run down his spine. He knew something was wrong. Without thinking twice, he followed Bhuto out into the night. Outside, the night was dark and stormy. Rain poured from the sky, wind howled through the trees. But through it all, Sukumar Babu could hear Bhuto's barking. It sounded desperate, like the dog was trying to warn him about something. The old man ran as fast as he could, his heart pounding in his chest. Suddenly, he heard a splash. He stumbled forward, falling to his knees. In front of him, he saw a deep, muddy puddle, and in the middle of it, struggling to keep his head above water, was Bhuto. Without hesitation, Sukumar Babu jumped into the puddle. The water was freezing cold, but he didn't care. All that mattered was helping his dog. With great effort, Sukumar Babu managed to pull Bhuto out of the water. The dog was shivering, his body shaking uncontrollably. Sukumar Babu wrapped his arms around Bhuto, trying to warm him back. Just then, a neighbor appeared, helping to carry the dog back home. Back inside the house, Sukumar Babu wrapped Bhuto in a blanket and gave him some warm water. The dog drank eagerly, then curled up on the floor, falling asleep. Relief washed over Sukumar Babu. He watched over Bhuto, his heart filled with gratitude for his loyal companion. That night, for the first time in a long time, Sukumar Babu slept with a smile on his face. He dreamed of a time when he and Bhuto were young and full of vigor, running and playing in a field. Days turned into weeks, and the bond between Sukumar Babu and Bhuto grew even stronger. Bhuto was more than just a dog to him. He was a friend, a confidant, a furry little brother. As the old man walked through the village, he often saw children playing with their dogs. He couldn't help but smile, remembering a time when he, too, had been young and carefree. Sometimes he would buy sweets from the market just to share them with Bhuto. The dog would wag his tail excitedly, his eyes sparkling with joy whenever he got a treat. One day, however, things changed. Bhuto, who had always been full of energy, started to slow down. He took longer naps and seemed less interested in playing. Sukumar Babu noticed these changes and worried about his best friend. He took Bhuto to the vet, who examined the dog and gave them medicine. "Don't worry," the vet said, patting Bhuto's head. "He's just a bit sick, but nothing a little medicine can't fix." Relieved, Sukumar Babu followed the vet's advice, giving Bhuto his medicine every day and making sure he ate well. Slowly but surely, Bhuto began to recover. But even after he got better, he never regained his old energy. Sukumar Babu understood that his dog was getting old, just like him. One evening, as the sun began its slow descent, Sukumar Babu sat on his porch, Bhuto at his feet. The old man looked at his dog, his heart filled with love and gratitude. In that moment, he knew that no matter what happened next, he was grateful to have shared his life with such a loyal and loving companion. Suddenly, Bhuto started to shake. Sukumar Babu looked down at him, his heart skipping a beat. Bhuto's breathing became shallow, his eyes losing their sparkle. The old man stroked his dog's head, whispering comforting words. He knew this was goodbye. With a final sigh, Bhuto closed his eyes for the last time. Tears streamed down Sukumar Babu's face. He cried not just for the loss of a pet, but for the loss of a friend, a brother, a part of his soul. The next morning, Sukumar Babu went to the weekly market, but this time he was not accompanied by Bhuto. The dog's absence was a heavy weight on his heart. At the market, Sukumar Babu bought some bread and milk. He walked back home, the items swaying slightly in his hands. As he opened the door, he saw a small white dog sitting in the corner. The dog looked up at Sukumar Babu, its tail wagging timidly. It was a puppy, barely a few months old. He had never seen her before. Where did she come from? The old man knelt down and offered the puppy some bread. She sniffed it, then lapped up the milk from his hand. Looking into her innocent eyes, Sukumar Babu felt a spark of life rekindle within him. Maybe this was a sign, he thought. Maybe it was Bhuto's way of saying that life should go on. With a newfound sense of purpose, Sukumar Babu took the puppy in. He named her Ronnie, which meant queen in Hindi, and just like that, the old man's life once again had a furry little companion. In the evenings, Sukumar Babu would sit on his porch, Ronnie at his feet, watching the sunset over the horizon. He missed Bhuto terribly, but he knew his dog was happy chasing butterflies in the fields beyond the sky. One day, while playing with Ronnie, Sukumar Babu found himself laughing out loud. The sound echoed through the village, carrying with it the melody of joy. People passing by smiled, their hearts warmed by the sight of the old man and his puppy. In that moment, Sukumar Babu realized that while Bhuto may have left his side, the cycle of life and companionship would always continue. And as long as he had love in his heart, he would never truly be alone.